I think anyone with a brain could have seen this coming. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the fight at the famous New York City restaurant called Carmine's over the VAX passport. Now, this particular incident involved 9 people. I think they were all black folks, probably all black women. Now, 6 of the people were allowed to go into the restaurant. They showed their passport, their card, or whatever, and it was all good, no problems. But 3 of the people, all black women, all in their mid to late 40s, were not allowed entry. I'm hearing different stories, like they did not have any kind of proof of vaccination. They had proof, but it was fake. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but whatever the case, there was a problem, and they were kicked out of the restaurant after, I guess, being inside. Now, when they were kicked out, that's when one of them attacked the hostess, and it was a whole big scuffle right there. If you want to see that particular battle, I'll link to that in the description box. I would play it right here, but we're on the YouTubes, and they're going to strike me hard for that. Anyway, there's been a protest against Carmine's over the situation from Black Lives Matter. Now, you've got to see what they said because it's undeniable. What they said right there is just fact. I don't agree with the violence or whatever. I'll talk about that part a little bit later. But what they said was true. So let's roll that clip. After we get done watching that, I'll talk about what they said. I'll talk about the fight. I'll talk about the vaccine passport. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents, my deep detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Today we are here for black women. The most unprotected, the most disrespected, and the most neglected person in this nation is the black woman.
That's right.
On the basis of race. I'm disgusted by the narrative that Carmine has created. Now everyone today in their new press release had a vaccination card. Remember, these black women, these professionals, the doctor who worked on Capitol Hill of this nation was called a moron. Why we are out here today, it's about protecting black women in this city. It's about protecting all black people. Because the stats show that 72% of black people in this city from ages 18 to 44 are unvaccinated.
Yep.
So what is going to stop the Gestapo, the NYPD? What is going to stop them from rounding up black folks? What's going to stop them from snatching black people off the train? Snatching black people off the bus? What is going to stop them from doing this? We are.
Okay? And I love Black Lives Matter. But it is
A racist hostess standing right here, y'all. She was nasty to black people. They asked for a vaccine passport. She showed it to them, and when they showed it to them, she said it was a fake. Once these black people were let in, she walked by their table and gave them more. Then when they came back outside, she was still talking creepy, and the employees had to hold her back. Y'all don't understand what I'm saying. These black women were supposed to be the aggressors.
All right, now you saw that, you heard that. Now, I never thought I would say it. I never thought I would be on here like, hey, I agree with Black Lives Matter. I might put on the BLM shirt for the video. Now, I'm going to go that far, but I'm saying especially the first person, the young lady, what she said was right on point. How the majority, 75 or so % of black New Yorkers don't have the shot, and how they're like the Gestapo coming in talking about papers, please. Let me see your vaccine passport. And then the guy with the bullhorn at the end, that was Hawk Newsom. He did an interview with Candace Owens. I've seen some of that, but he comes across as a guy that can be reasonable sometimes. Sometimes he's not. Sometimes you got a left-wing lunatic on your hands, and sometimes you have a reasonable person. Now, in that situation right there, he was more reasonable. He's like, look, y'all talking about there was no passports, then it was, then they were fake, and then you're accusing them. What's going on? Now, again, I don't endorse any kind of violence, anybody trying to fight anybody over not being allowed entry, because if it was me, here's what I would do. Here's how ABL would handle it. If I'm denied entry into your restaurant, you must don't want my money. You must don't. You can go. Now I'm a big tipper. I take care of everybody. I'm not going to just get chicken tenders. I'm going to get the steak. I'm going to get, some real stuff. I'm going to spend some money. If I'm going to go to a nice spot, I'm going to spend some money. I'm not going to be in there acting the fool, not going to be in there playing around. I'm an adult. I'm a fully grown male. I'm going to take care of my business in the restaurant, right? So if you're talking about, you got to put on a mask, you got to get a vaccine passport. How about I don't go there? That's why I don't really want to travel to a lot of these places that are still kind of weird with all these regulations. I'm good. I don't want to go to a place and then not even be able to go anywhere. Like I thought about going to DC to visit, taking me and my wife, going to see all the monuments and everything. But are they still shut down? That's what I'm hearing. Can you even go anywhere? Can you do any indoor dining? It's still going to be weird. You still got to do all this extra stuff. They still have all these regulations and mandates, and you got to pretty much put a barcode on your forehead and get scanned like some EBT goods on the first of the month in Walmart. I'm good. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Where I live right here in Tennessee, there's no problems. There's no mask requirement, no shot requirement, no nothing. As a matter of fact, I went to one place, and then I'm going to get back to New York City, I promise. I went to one place, and I don't want to say where it was because it was a good event. I liked it. It was a good place, good people. But you had to wear a mask in certain parts of the place. It was weird. But, the funny part is that once I got to that particular part of the place, nobody had it on and nobody was there to enforce it. Police were there. You walk right past them. Hello, officer. They had no mask on. They huddled up with no mask on. It's fine. It's no big epidemic here, no big hospitalization, meltdown. It's just not going on here, right? I'd rather would stay here or a place like this than a New York City for that particular reason. But getting back to New York City, as I said from the very beginning, anybody could have seen this coming, anybody, because when you have most black folks in the country, not just in New York City, 75%, but most black folks in the country don't have the shot. So when you mix that with, you got to have the passport to go do this, to go do that, to almost live your everyday life, not even just for a restaurant. Somebody could say, well, a restaurant, that's kind of a small thing. It's not really a big deal. Why get into a tizzy over that? Well, then it's going to be, you got to have the passport to go to school, to go to work, to get on the bus, to get on the plane, to drive your own car, to go outside, to do whatever, to go to the grocery store, to be able to get food and water, to get provisions, to live in an apartment. We saw that. To do anything, you got to have the shot. So when you get evictions that happen, people are being denied entry into restaurants, people are being denied entry into gyms and the school and whatnot. It's like, okay, did we just bring back segregation? That's what it feels like to me. And we had a civil rights movement where a lot of that type of stuff happened. People be out there fighting and carrying on because they want equal rights. Again, if it was me, I have options. But at a certain point, if you're living in New York City or you happen to be there, it's not that same way. Everything will be pretty much off limits to you if you don't get that. So some people say, you know what, we're not going to tolerate that. We're going to fight back. And again, I don't condone any kind of violence. I mean, especially toward the waiter or waitress or the host. I mean, because what do they do? Is it their fault? I don't really know. But the point is that the rules and the laws of a place, it can't be that. It cannot be that because people are going to be shut out of society and it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Now, here's a question that I have for anybody that's a little bit smarter than I am, because maybe I'm not that bright. Maybe my elevator is not going all the way to the top floor. Maybe I'm a few trees short of a forest, a few crayons short of a 464 count box. Maybe it's just me. But here's the question. If the VAX passport is fine, although 75% of black New Yorkers and probably right around the same amount or a little bit more or less of black folks around the country don't have the shot, if that's okay, and you're going to pretty much excommunicate the majority of black people from everyday life, if that's okay, then why is voter ID not okay? They say voter ID is not okay, and it's been stricken down by the courts, by court systems. Why? Because it's going to impact black people specifically. It's going to harm African Americans. It's going to do systemic damage to black Americans. That's what they say. Although 95% or more of black folks have an ID, IDs are free. You don't need to do anything to actually get it. You're not putting any kind of shot inside your body. You're not risking your health, your wealth, your freedom, or anything like that to go get an ID. And you got to have an ID for everyday life, especially if you're poor. How are you going to get welfare benefits? How are you going to get Section 8 housing, public housing? How are you going to get any of that without an ID? And as a matter of fact, you got to have an ID and birth certificate, driver's license, utility bill, all that stuff to do everyday things like go get a job, go get benefits, go get housing, to buy a house, rent an apartment, Section 8, that all requires identification. But to go vote, oh, no, you don't need it. But if you want to go eat, you want to go to the gym, you want to go to school, you want to get on the plane, you want to get on the bus, you want to get on the Uber, you want to go outside, whatever you want to do, oh, we need that passport. So see if you got the vaccine. Am I seeing how these things don't really line up together, how they don't really make sense? It's almost like there is an agenda for the voter ID situation, like they want to just leave the door open for some kind of fraud. I don't know. That's what it seems like, because if the reason is what I said, then that reason should double, quadruple, triple, whatever apply to the vaccine passport. But ain't nobody talking about that part. Funny how that works. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Black Lives Matter in this case. Y'all are right. I mean, I have fought these people, not in real life. I'm talking about just, philosophically, online debates. I done it. In real life, online, I've done it for years and years and years. But on this case here, we're in agreement. We're shaking hands on it, 1,000%. And you're going to see more of this as they continue to try and push the VAX passport. And the question is going to be, are they going to do anything to fix that? If they don't fix that problem, but then they still say voter ID is racist, then you already know what time it is. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Black Lives Matter's statement when it comes to the VAX passport in New York City? How do you feel about the little scuffle, the brouhaha that happened outside of Carmine's? Whatever your thoughts on those things are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I think this is all too predictable. Anybody could have seen it coming. I don't endorse violence, but at a certain point, you can't just say, all right, you got to have this passport to go here, to go here, to go here, to go here. Everything shut off. And at a certain point, there's going to be some kind of conflict that arises. Very simple. Funny how we've not seen that for the voter ID situation anywhere, but different story. And whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.